I got the idea of writing Fallingwater for solo violin and strings when I visited Taliesin East in Spring Green, Wisconsin, which is where Frank Lloyd Wright had his residence. He built a home there. I knew that this was the right piece to write for New Century Chamber Orchestra. When I went into Frank Lloyd Wright's living room, where he had guests and parties and so forth, and in it he had built furniture for a string quartet that was in a circle, built especially to play Beethoven string quartets. And that's when I thought, aha, there's a link between string music, Beethoven, and Frank Lloyd Wright. The first movement is entitled Night Rain. It's a nocturne that evokes the natural beauty of Wright's beloved Taliesin, which is Welsh for shining brow. So in the movement, you're going to hear plucking of strings reverberating like drops of water falling softly at night in the valley of Spring Green. And you're also going to hear a theme which grows organically and contrapuntally into a field of tonal cluster chords, which are played by the entire string ensemble. On the level is the second movement. It's a scherzo inspired by Wright's fanciful masterpiece, Fallingwater. It was designed for the Kaufman family and built there between 1936 and 39, and it's probably the most famous of all the designs he ever did. People just love going to Fallingwater, and I tried to also construct musical motives in rising and falling lines, creating multiple layers in various canons and tempos, like those daring cantilevers of Wright's architectural structure of Fallingwater. The third movement, Prairie Psalm, is my musical meditation on the Unity Temple in Chicago. This is probably one of his best-known examples of his Prairie School of architectural design. One of the things that I like about the inside of the temple is that everyone sits facing each other, and you really get a sense of peacefulness and meditation, and also, again, of nature. You know, Wright said that, I believe in God, only I spell it in nature. Ahead of the Curve is the last movement of Fallingwater, and it's inspired by the Guggenheim Museum, which was designed by Wright as his last masterpiece. Now, it opened to great acclaim in New York in 1959, 6 months after his death. And Wright had struggled many, many years to get this building built, and had to also fight against many of the leading architect critics of New York who thought that his design for the Guggenheim was out of step with their modernist aesthetic. But Wright proved them to be wrong, and as always, he was ahead of the curve.